Imagine it's the year 1349, and you're a 58-year-old flax weaver named Thomas in a sod-roofed cottage just beyond the walls of Gloucester. Your wife hasn't spoken in 2 days. There are 3 pits dug behind the house, one for lime, one for ashes, and one not yet filled. The bell hasn't rung in the village for a week. Not because the priest is dead. He isn't. He still walks the path to the chapel. But he no longer rings the bell. The sound brings no one. Only crows. Your daughter, Agnes, was the first. Fever, then coughing, then the black stain. Her skin changed color before her breath did. Your wife held her for a night, then began to shiver. Now she lies silent, breathing shallow, eyes flickering as if already looking somewhere you cannot see. You burned Agnes's dress. The wool stank. But the neighbors said nothing. They had their own fires, their own ash heaps. You've seen what happens when the coughing begins. First the sputtering. Then the dark blood. Then the silence. And the weight of the body, oddly light, as if something inside had already left. Each morning you walk to the hedge line, watching the road. No one passes. The market is still. The baker's house is open, but no one inside. The bishop once said the world ends with trumpets. But this world ends with stillness. You still eat. Still light the fire. Still wash your hands with vinegar. The cloth merchants said it helped. You're not sure. Sometimes you think you hear your daughter's voice in the chimney draught. Tonight your wife stirs. You go to her. She opens her mouth, and for a moment you think she will speak. But it is not words that come out. It is blood. And something darker. If you enjoyed my stories, please subscribe to my channel and let me know what you liked and what you didn't like so that I can improve my stories. You can also write where you are from, as I would be interested to know. Avignon, spring of 1348. Sister Margarita, aged 28, dips a linen cloth into a basin of vinegar and presses it to the forehead of a dying novice. Outside, bells ring for the dead. Inside, silence and flies. She has washed 11 bodies since Palm Sunday. The first few she bathed carefully. Braided hair. Closed eyes. Crossed arms. Whispered a prayer. Now she works faster. No less gently, but with fewer words. The vinegar does nothing. They said it would cleanse the air, ward off the pestilence. But the air in the infirmary is thick, not with spirits, but with the scent of decay. Like boiled cabbage and something sour beneath. The novice, Clara, once sang in the choir. Bright voice. Wide smile. Now her breath rattles. Her lips blacken. Her hands twitch, then still. Margarita does not weep. She does not pray aloud anymore. The abbess forbade the sisters from leaving. A holy death is still a death for Christ, she said. So they stayed. At first, they opened the gates each morning to feed the hungry. Now they bar them. Peasants cough into the iron. One threw a dead rat over the wall. In the scriptorium, the pages curl from damp. In the garden, weeds grow where the herbalist used to kneel. Every day, fewer footsteps. Margarita wakes now to coughing. Not from others. From herself. She hides it. Drinks wine steeped in cloves. Rubs rue on her chest. Clara's breath stops. No movement. No final word. Margarita lifts the girl's body onto the bier. She will bury her before vespers. Then boil the sheets. Then light the candles. Then begin again. Milan, summer of 1348. A spice seller named Benedetto stands behind a shuttered stall, grinding dried cloves with shaking hands. The market is open, technically. But no one comes close. They pass by quickly, scarves pressed to faces. Some spit in his direction. One mutters, "Infector." He is not sick. He swears it. But the man in the next stall, the candlemaker, died 2 nights ago. His wife too. And rumors spread faster than fever. They say spice keeps it away. Especially clove. Cinnamon. Ginger steeped in vinegar. Benedetto knows the truth. It only masks the stench. Still, he grinds. Sells little cloth bundles through a slot in the stall door. No contact. No speech. Only coins dropped in vinegar. His wife no longer sleeps beside him. She keeps to the loft. He to the back room. They shout to one another in the evenings, like neighbors across rooftops. Every sound now means something. A cough, danger. A cry, loss. Silence, worse. Once, Benedetto laughed often. Knew every merchant by name. Shared wine at dusk beneath awnings. Now, he doesn't know who is alive. Or worse, who is hiding symptoms. He boils his clothes in brine. Wears a mask of wool soaked in rose oil. Breasts come shallow, hot, stale. At night, he prays not to survive, but not to be blamed. He hears stories, Jews accused, wells poisoned, lepers beaten to death. Last week, they boarded up a whole house near the canal. Hammered shut with the family inside. No one opened it again. Benedetto wonders if death will come from a cough, or from the hands of the frightened. He tightens the shutter latch. Grinds more cloves. And waits. Near the village of Debrecen, autumn of 1350. Istvan, a 63-year-old shepherd, leans on his spade beside a narrow trench. His knees ache. His breath comes slow. In the cart behind him lie 2 bodies, a cousin and the cousin's wife. No priest came. The last one left 2 months ago, or died. No one knows. The chapel door is open, but no candles inside. Istvan digs. The soil is dry near the surface, then dark and soft beneath, as if the earth, too, is sick. He sprinkles lime as he was told. White powder on black flesh. He does not cry. His tears stopped with the 3rd burial. He wraps the bodies in blankets. No prayers. Only a whisper. Go where the pain stops. That is all he can offer. The village is not empty yet. A few remain. But no one speaks anymore. They move like shadows. Children no longer call to one another. Doors shut quickly. Food grows. But no one gathers it. The apples fall and rot. The goats bleat until hoarse. Last week, he saw smoke from a house, then no more. Istvan sharpens his knife each night. Not for defense. For rabbits, if any remain. He boils herbs, drinks vinegar, ties garlic around his neck. Not because he believes, but because it gives his hands something to do. One morning, he finds a boy asleep in the hay, maybe 10 years old, wild-eyed, silent. He doesn't speak. Just watches. Istvan feeds him. They say nothing. That evening, the boy helps pour lime. 2 shovels move now. And the earth, as always, takes what it's given. Shinon, 1349. Isabeau, 17, sits in a chamber of polished stone. The windows are shuttered. The rugs perfumed with mint and cedar. Her nurse is gone. Her father locked the gate and left with the steward. The house is quiet, except for rats in the walls. She has not stepped outside in 12 days. The maid who brought her meat coughs now. Softly. Behind the door. Isabeau counts the hours by the light under the shutter. She eats small things, dried figs, cheese. She prays, but not aloud. The rosary is smooth from use. She no longer feels it. They sent her brothers away to an uncle's estate weeks ago. She wanted to go too. Her mother said, "You're safest here." Now the room feels like a box. Each night she lights 2 candles. One for the Blessed Virgin. One for Marguerite, her maid, her friend, who died 3 nights ago. They buried her in the orchard. Or so they said. She wears gloves. Sleeps in linen soaked in rosewater. Still, her hands shake. The physician sent powders. He did not enter. Left them on a tray by the gate. "Drink this at dawn," the note said. She did. Vomited. No one checked. Once, a bird struck the shutter. She screamed. No one came. She writes letters. To her mother. To God. To herself. Seals them. Places them beneath the mattress. Some days she thinks she is well. Strong. Clever. Other days she presses her palms to her chest and thinks she feels heat rising. Isabeau does not fear death. She fears being found last. Messina, November 1347. A dockworker's apprentice named Luca, 15, stands ankle-deep in black water, trying to hook a body floating beside the quay. The man's eyes are open. His lips blue. There are 6 more. All from the same ship. The Gabriella drifted in 3 days ago, sails limp, no signal. They found it tied sloppily to the outer post. No one aboard answered shouts. So they boarded. Then jumped back screaming. Luca didn't see it, but he saw what came after. Men in masks. Fires. A priest who refused to board, but blessed the harbor from the steps above. The Gabriella was burned. Now the bodies rise with each tide. No one else wants to touch them. Not the fishwives. Not the port guards. Not even the sailors. Luca is young, fast, quiet. They pay him in salted bread, a few coins, and wine with herbs. He ties a rope under each arm. Pulls them out. They do not bleed. They weep, a dark fluid from mouth, ears, groin. He tries not to breathe. The first night he vomited. The second, nothing. Now, he just works. The harbor smells of rot. Gulls scream over the stacks of burned crates. No one shouts orders anymore. Just gestures. He heard it came from the east. From silk traders. From rats. From sin. Luca doesn't care. He counts hands. That's how he knows if a body's whole. 2 hands done. 1 hand, search again. Last week, he saw a child. No older than him. Still clutched a doll. He pushed her out to sea. Tonight, he finds a man with coins sewn into his hem. He cuts them free, quickly, without shame. Because he is still alive. And no one teaches boys how to mourn anymore. Outside Bruges, spring of 1349. A cooper named Willem, 34, sits at his table with his wife and 3 sons. None of them cough. None have boils. The fire burns. The bread is warm. But no one speaks. They closed the shutters weeks ago. The outer door is barred. They scrub the floor with lye twice a day. Boil water for washing. Hang sprigs of rosemary above each bed. They burn their clothes once, just in case. They eat quietly. They pray quietly. They wait. Willem goes outside only before dawn to feed the goats, check the traps, draw water. He breathes through cloths soaked in vinegar. Doesn't touch the well handle with bare hands. He no longer speaks to neighbors. He heard cries from the Wafer's house, then nothing. The blacksmith's chimney stopped smoking. Yesterday, a cart passed on the road. A man shouting, "Bring out your dead!" in a hoarse voice. Willem didn't open the door. His youngest son Peter asks, "Are we the only ones left?" Willem does not answer. At night, his wife sobs into her pillow. Quietly, always quietly. They haven't touched in weeks. The children sleep in one room, Willem in another. They rotate bedding, boil linens, whisper to saints they forgot the names of. He sharpens his tools still, makes barrels no one will buy. He lines them in the shed like coffins, just in case. Sometimes, he thinks they might survive, but he no longer remembers what it means to live. Siena, 1351. In a stone prison below the bishop's hall, a man named Matteo lies chained to the wall. He was a thief, sentenced to hang. But the gallows stand empty now. The jailers no longer come. Only the rats. And the cough. The cell stinks. The straw is wet. The pail long overflowed. The man beside him died yesterday, or maybe the day before. Matteo hasn't touched him. He doesn't need to. The smell speaks loud enough. He used to shout. Used to beg. For food, for mercy, for air. Now he whispers. The priest came once, weeks ago. Slid bread under the gate. Asked if Matteo would confess. He laughed. Then choked. No one returned. He hears groans through the walls. Soft, then louder, then gone. The other cells are full of ghosts now. Real ones, mouths open, but breathless. He once thought the guards were cruel. Now he prays they come back. He drinks rainwater from a crack in the wall. Eats what the rats don't. His skin sags. His wrists have sores from iron. But he lives. Each night, he dreams of open doors. Of light. Of bread that's warm, not moldy. Of a face, his mother's, maybe, speaking his name. Then wakes. To silence. And the sound of something crawling nearby. He doesn't cough. Not yet. But when he does, he knows, no one will hear. No one will come. And in this place, that is the only mercy left. In a roadside tavern outside Tours, the year is 1350. A barmaid named Eloise, 22, wipes the same table 3 times in 1 hour. There are only 4 men inside. None speak. Each drinks slowly, as if hoping the wine might drown the air itself. The hearth burns low. No one feeds it. No one dares lean too close. One man stares into his cup, lips cracked, hands red from soap and ash. Another murmurs to himself in Latin, a monk maybe, or someone who once believed. The laughter is gone. So is the music. Eloise remembers when they danced here. When someone always shouted for another jug. When the tables were sticky with joy. Now the wood is dry. The coins they offer are strange, some foreign, some stained. She takes them anyway. Then boils them. The tavern keeper, her uncle, no longer comes down from his loft. He calls orders through the floorboards. Sleeps with salt at every corner of the door. Eloise doesn't ask. Last week, a rider came, pale, shaking, cloak damp with sweat. He drank 4 cups of spiced wine, vomited in the corner, and never rose again. They burned the bench. Scrubbed the floor with brine. Still, the smell lingers. The 4 men sit in silence. One coughs. The others freeze. Then look away. Eloise refills the cups. Her hands do not tremble. Not anymore. She no longer prays. But each time she pours, she whispers, "Just not tonight. Not yet." Outside, the wind stirs dust. Inside, they drink. But no one toasts. Because there is nothing left to celebrate. Only time left to pass. Prague, 1350. Yannick, a gravedigger, 41, kneels at the edge of a trench outside the city wall. The pit is wide, deep. Lime has already been scattered at the bottom. 3 carts wait behind him, all full. He doesn't know who they are. No names. No markers. Just cloth bundles and stiff limbs. Some tied with rope. Some bare. One with a doll tucked under the chin. He says nothing. He's long past praying. Yannick works alone now. His partner, Tomas, coughed blood 5 days ago. Yannick dragged him to the trench himself. Did not look twice. He covers his face with a rag soaked in vinegar and onion skin. Wears gloves made from boiled leather. Still, his skin burns. The carts creak as he pulls another down. Thin. Woman, maybe? Fingers curled. Eyes open. He places her gently. Not from pity, from habit. The city pays him in bread and coal. Once a week. They leave it at the gate. He used to be a mason. Now he counts the dead in silence. Yesterday 14. Today 23. Tomorrow, who knows? At night he hears music from the river, some mad fiddler who plays for the ghosts, or for himself. Yannick doesn't mind. The music makes the soil seem softer. Sometimes he wonders, how many more? But then he feels the shovel in his hands, the weight in his back, and digs. Because it's not the dead that haunt him. It's the empty carts. Outside Valladolid, summer of 1351. In a sun-bleached village with no smoke from chimneys, a woman named Isabel, maybe 40, maybe more, sings to herself as she sweeps the street with a broken broom. Her hair is matted. Her shoes do not match. But her song is clear. There are no children left. No animals. No one to listen. But she sings anyway. Old lullabies, half-remembered hymns, songs of planting and harvest. The broom stirs more dust than dirt. Still she sweeps. Each morning, she emerges from the stone house with the broken door and begins again. Room by room. Threshold by threshold. She speaks to empty chairs. Greets invisible neighbors. At the well, she draws no water. Just lowers and raises the bucket. Nods. No one has seen another living soul here in weeks. Some say she lost all 5 of her children. Others say she never had any. Some claim she fled a convent, or buried her husband alive, or drank vinegar until she forgot. No one knows. Because she does not answer questions. She offers soup to shadows. Hangs laundry that no one wears. Laughs softly when the wind answers her with leaves. The only thing she does not touch, the chapel. Its door is shut. The steps blackened with candle soot. Once she stood before it and whispered something. Then never went back. Now she dances in the square at dusk. Spins slowly, arms wide, eyes closed. And if you look closely, you'll see tears on her cheeks. But her smile never fades. Because in her world, the dead still wave from doorways. And the music never stopped. A monastery near Regensburg, late 1350. A boy named Jacob, 9 years old, sits cross-legged on a cold stone floor, shaping a doll from straw. His hands are red with cold. His lips cracked. Around him, 10 other boys sleep. Yesterday there were 12. He doesn't ask where they went. He knows. One coughed through the night. Another bled from the nose. By morning their blankets were folded. Their names not spoken. Brother Anselm says it is God's way. But Jacob wonders why God only takes the small ones. The quiet ones. The ones who don't steal extra bread. He does not cry anymore. He keeps the doll hidden under the cot. It's not a toy, It's a companion. It listens. At dawn, the boys wash with vinegar. Cold, sharp. The water makes their skin burn. Then they eat porridge. Always porridge. Then silence. Then chores. Then prayers. Jacob used to ask questions. Where is his mother? When can he leave? Why are the bells always tolling? Now he counts footsteps in the hall. Learns which ones bring food, which ones take away the sick. He avoids eye contact. Does not speak first. And never, ever, asks to visit the garden, where the soil has new mounds each week. Sometimes, at night, he dreams of his sister's voice. She used to sing to him. Now he tries to hum the tune. But it slips away. Like everything else. Only the doll remains. And the silence that grows heavier with each empty bed. Lion, spring of 1349. The apothecary Maitre Gillis, age 51, grinds dried yarrow with trembling hands. His shop smells of vinegar, clove, and despair. On the shelf, jars of sage, gentian root, wormwood, rose petals. Useless now. All of it. Once, people came to him with coughs, burns, broken bones. He gave salves, tinctures, prayers when asked. Now they come with fevered eyes, blotched skin, breath that smells of iron. And leave in silence. The remedies don't work. He knows this. Still, he grinds. Prepares drafts. Labels them with neat Latin script. It gives him something to do. Something to offer. A priest brought him holy water. He boiled it. His wife is gone. Took the children to her sister's farm. He told her to go. Promised he would follow. He won't. The shop needs tending, he said. But really, he stays because he must see. Must witness the failing. One evening, he opened a body. Just one. A boy, no older than 12. Gillis had studied anatomy. He thought perhaps, something? Inside, swollen glands, dark lungs, tissue that tore like wet cloth. He wept. Not from sorrow, from understanding. There is no cure. He keeps working. Keeps weighing powders. Mixing with honey or wine. The people need something. He gives them bottles. And eyes that do not lie. Tonight, he makes a draught of valerian and opium. Not for others. For sleep. Because even dreams now carry the scent of lavender mixed with blood. A muddy road between Mainz and Koblenz, winter of 1352. A man named Ottmar walks with a sack over his shoulder and frost on his beard. He limps slightly. Not from age, from an infection in his leg, long ago, that never fully healed. He does not cough. He is not sick. But no one believes him. They call him Plague Walker. He doesn't beg aloud anymore. He holds out his hand, shows the wooden cross on his chest, the woolen scapular, the healed scar on his neck. Proof that he lived, that he suffered, that he was not spared, only left behind. He knocks on doors. Most do not open. The ones that do throw bread from a window, or copper coins doused in lye. No words. Just shut again, fast as rats. He sleeps in barns, if lucky. Under hedges, if not. Once, a farmer loosed dogs on him. Bit his calf through the cloth. He didn't curse. Just limped away. Inside his sack, a blanket, a knife, dried apples, a crumpled letter no one will read. Ottmar saw it all. The carts. The stacked bodies in lime. The silence of cities. He buried his wife with his own hands, wrapped in linen that smelled of smoke. When the coughing passed, he stayed in the village for 3 days. Then left. Because nothing sounded right anymore, not the wind, not the birds, not even the sound of his own breath. Now he walks. Not toward anything. Just away. And every time someone asks, "How did you survive?" he answers, "I didn't." Then keeps walking. Because there's no cure for what he carries. And it's not disease. Outside Florence, late 1350. In a low stone hut tucked against a hillside, a woman named Antonia, age 31, rocks a swaddled infant in her arms. The baby is silent. Breathing, yes, but barely. She does not sing. She does not smile. She watches. The child was born 3 nights ago. Without a midwife. No priest came to bless him. No neighbors came to bring broth or linens. Just her. Her hands. Her blood. She burned the sheets. Wiped the knife with wine. Buried the afterbirth behind the hut, alone. The baby's skin is pale. Not sickly. Just untouched. New. He hasn't seen the sun. She won't let him. The shutters stay closed. She breathes through cloth. She boils everything, water, rags, her own hands until they blister. She has not named him. Names are for the living. She lost her husband in the spring. Black spots on his chest, breath like smoke. He died within 3 days. She buried him with a torn cloak and a prayer half remembered. The baby stirs. She tightens the cloth around him, not to comfort, to protect. Outside, the hills are green again. Poppies bloom. The bees return. But she doesn't trust them. Joy feels like a trick. Each morning, she checks his breath with her finger under his nose. If he sleeps too long, she wakes him. If he cries, she exhales. Only once has she held him to her cheek. It felt like forgiveness. But she pulled away quickly. Because she does not know yet if he is a blessing. Or the last thing she will bury. Near Canterbury, spring of 1351. A boy named Stephen, just turned 14, sits at the edge of a cloister garden, eyes fixed on a row of beehives. The monks move silently behind him. He counts their steps. He is not yet one of them. But he wants to be. His father brought him here last month. Said it was safer. Said the plague hadn't touched the monastery. Yet. Stephen believed him. He still tries to. Each morning he joins in prayer. Kneels where he's told. Learns to chant the Psalms, though the Latin twists in his mouth like dried bread. He watches the monks. Their quiet hands. Their eyes that rarely blink. They speak little. But he sees what they do not say. The way Brother Edmund coughs behind the orchard wall. The empty bed in the novice dormitory. The tools laid out for digging, always sharpened, always ready. Stephen scrubs floors. Grinds herbs. Reads old texts by candlelight. He does not ask questions. But he listens. One night, he hears weeping behind the chapel. A sound like a child, or someone remembering being one. He does not go to see. He stays in bed, clutches the wooden cross under his robe, and mouths the words he barely understands. He wants to believe this place is safe. That behind stone walls and silence, death cannot find him. But bees still die, even in hives. And he wonders what the monks will do when the honey turns bitter. A village near Liège, 1350. A washerwoman named Colette, 37, stands waist deep in a gray stream, slapping linen against a stone. Her fingers are raw. The water numbs her skin. Around her float pieces of cloth, some white, some stained dark. She does not ask what stained them. She just washes. Every morning, bundles appear on the shore. No one brings them by hand. They are left at night, wrapped tight, tied with twine. Sometimes with a coin tucked inside. Sometimes, nothing. She takes them all. Dips, scrubs, rings. Once, she would hum as she worked. Call to other women up the bank. Share gossip, bread, laughter. Now the stream is silent. Only her. And the cloth. The stains do not always fade. Some bloom back, even after 3 rinses. Colette uses ash, lye, vinegar. Rubs until the weave thins. Still they return. She dries the linen on low branches. Watches them flutter like ghosts. Her back aches. Her hair is brittle from sun and soap. She no longer feels hunger, only the weight of the next bundle. Her daughter used to help. Until she stopped. Then burned. Colette dug the pit herself. Now she speaks to no one. Answers no greetings. But each evening, before she leaves, she kneels in the stream. Washes her own hands with fierce strokes. Then her arms. Her face. Not to cleanse. To remember the shape of her body, while it still obeys her. She whispers a prayer, though no priest taught her. And leaves the water darker than before. Somewhere between Krakow and Olomouc, late summer of 1351. A bald man in a patched brown cloak walks barefoot along a road of dust and wheel ruts. His name is unknown now, even to himself. They call him Peregrinus, the pilgrim. He once had a name, a farm, a wife, maybe. But that was before the cough took the fields, and the wells, and the people in the church who refused to stop singing even as they bled. Now he walks. Carries no pack. Only a staff made from olive wood, dark with wear, and a pouch of salt tied at his belt. He stops in villages that no longer have names. In each, he kneels before the chapel door, even if it's bolted, burned, or covered in ivy, and prays the same 6 words. If not mercy, then memory. Please! Sometimes he is fed. Sometimes stoned. He accepts both. He does not speak unless asked. He accepts no shelter. He sleeps by walls, under trees, in ruined barns. The stars are his witnesses. The lice, his congregation. He has passed 5 countries. 7 borders. Dozens of gates. All closed. All silent. In one ruined monastery, he found a fresco, the Virgin, her eyes scraped away. He wept. Not for her. For the painter. His feet bleed. His teeth are loose. He no longer knows what season it is. But he keeps walking. Because stillness feels like agreement. And he cannot accept what the world has become. Not yet. In a quiet lane near Utrecht, autumn of 1350. A woman named Gertrude, 68, sits by a window with her hands folded in her lap. Once she was the midwife. The one who came running through rain, frost, night. Now no one calls her. Not because they doubt, but because there are no more cries. The houses are quiet. No fresh swaddling hung on lines. No pots of hot water on the fire. Only shuttered windows. And black cloth on doors. She watches a cat leap across the roofs. The animal seems alive, more alive than any child she's seen in months. In her cupboard, herbs wrapped in parchment. Pennyroyal. Mugwort. Lavender. Dried but potent. She used to mix them with fat and whisper old prayers. Now they sit. Untouched. She remembers every birth. The breach in the rainstorm. The twins born during the eclipse. The boy with 6 fingers who didn't cry, but lived. Each child had a smell. She can still recall it. Even now. But no one asks anymore. The last time she was summoned, it was to hold a dead baby while the mother died. Same bed. Same hour. She stayed to clean the sheets. then left. No one spoke. Now, she walks each day to the stream, dips her hands in cold water, lets them sting. Not to cleanse. To feel. To remind herself they are still her hands. She does not fear dying. She fears forgetting the warmth of a newborn skin. That brief moment, before the world begins to take. In the crumbling nave of a church in Toulouse, late 1352. Brother Amand, a Benedictine monk of 55 winters, kneels on a reed mat before the altar. His robes are stained with wax, sweat, and time. The candles before him flicker. But not for God. For the quiet. He is the last. The abbot died first. Then the infirmary. Then the cook. Then the novices, one by one, until the dormitory sounded like an orchard after frost. No birds. No steps. Just the creak of beams and coughs behind doors. They buried as long as they could. Then stopped. Now the garden grows wild. The psalters lie unopened. Mice nest in the choir stalls. Amand does not pray aloud anymore. Not because he's lost faith, but because the silence feels sacred now. Not divine. Just necessary. He eats broth made from leeks and old roots. He washes in rainwater collected in a cracked basin near the cloister. He no longer marks the hours properly. Time has no shape here. Each day is the same fog-colored cloth, folded again and again. He rings the bell once a week. Not for the city. For himself. To hear something move. Sometimes, children sneak into the church. Not to pray, to steal candles or stare. He lets them. Pretends not to see. Leaves crusts of bread where they'll find them. He doesn't speak. He simply waits. One night, he writes on the last clean page of the abbey's ledger. God was here. Then the people left. Now the birds sing in Latin. And lays down to sleep on the stone floor, as if it were a pew, or a cradle, or a promise. On the southern edge of Ghent, spring of 1353. A boy named Lodwig, 15, sits on the beam of a half-built barn. Below him, grass, weeds, silence. Around him, no other boys, no shouting fathers, no plans. Just nails, wood, and sky. He builds because it feels like defiance. He has no blueprints. No tools beyond a hammer, a rope, and an old saw with a crack in the handle. But he remembers what barns look like. And memory is a kind of map. His uncle owned this land. Died 2 years ago, mouth black, eyes wide. No one came to collect the body. Lodwig buried him with a spoon and broken prayers. Then stayed. At first to guard the place. Then because there was nowhere else. He found goats. Found grain. Found an axe. Now he builds. The boards aren't even. The nails bend. The roofline sags. But it rises. Each day he adds a little. A crossbeam. A step. A peg. Sometimes he talks aloud. To the trees, to the wind, to his mother, long gone. I'll make a door here, he says. Big enough for two, he says. He does not know who two is. But the thought comforts him. At night, he lies in the loft and listens to owls. Feels the wind through the gaps. Hears no cries. Sees no smoke. Just stars still there. Still watching. And in that watching, he feels something stir. Not hope. Not yet. But maybe, beginning. In a damp cell beneath a ruined scriptorium in Erfurt, winter of 1352. A man named Brother Lucas, 73, bends over a sheet of parchment. His eyes are filmy. His thumb is split. The ink has frozen once already today. But still he writes. The script is not perfect. His letters wobble. The margins bleed where the quill faltered. But he writes. Not because someone ordered him. There is no abbot anymore. No librarian. No reader. They died 2 winters ago. Or left. He does not know. He only knows this. The Physica of Hildegard must not be lost. Nor the Psalter in Low German. Nor the Hours of St. Bridget, which he remembers his mother whispering when he was small enough to fit beneath her shawl. So he copies. 1 page a day. Sometimes less. When his fingers cramp, he breathes on them. Lights a stub of tallow. Sings a line from memory to steady his hand. Outside, the stone roof groans under snow. No one shovels. No one passes. The only sounds, birds on the rafters, and wind like cloth tearing. Inside, it smells of mold and beeswax. And dust. Dust on every surface, like memory made visible. The vellum curls at the edges. The ink fades faster now. But he presses on, letter by letter, syllable by syllable, as if every word were a nail driven into silence. He does not expect thanks, or readers, or even survival. But he knows this. There will come a time, maybe, when someone finds this page, this line, this breath of thought. And in that moment, Brother Lucas will live again. Not in voice, but in ink. High in the hills above Lausanne, spring of 1351. A shepherd named Renaud, 46, leans against a crooked staff as his flock grazes among stones. Below, the valley lies still, roofs like old teeth, roads like scars. Nothing moves. But up here there are sheep, and breath, and sun. He counts them twice a day. Not for trade, no one comes. Not for wool. He hasn't sheared since last year. He counts them because that's how he remembers time. One went missing last week. Found her mauled by wolves. He buried her with hands in a flat rock. No psalm. Just a nod. The bells still ring on 2 collars, dull, metallic, lonesome. They calm him. In the old days he'd trade in town. Drink beer with the tanners. Buy salted fish. Flirt with the widow who sold candles. Now, if he goes down, they flee. Or shout. Or watch from behind shutters with eyes like nails. So he stays. Milks. Feeds. Tends. The sheep don't fear him. Don't blame him. Don't ask where his brother went, or why the chapel smells of ash. He speaks to them, though. Soft words. Old names. One he calls Father, though it's just a lamb. Another he named after his mother's favorite song. The days are long, the nights longer. But the sheep need him. And that, somehow, is enough to rise each morning, even when his joints burn and his beard itches and the stars feel colder than they should. Even when he no longer dreams. A cemetery outside Nuremberg, autumn of 1352. The gravedigger Dieter, 58, stands with a spade sunk halfway into the soil. Before him lies a boy, maybe 12, barefoot, thin, face turned to the sky. He has not moved for hours. Dieter has not touched him. He has buried over 400 since the spring. Children. Elders. Sisters with shaved heads. Merchants with rings still on their fingers. No prayers anymore. No linen. Just soil, lime, a stick if they're lucky. He used to whistle. Now he does not. But this boy. Something stopped him. He looks like someone he once knew. Maybe himself, in a mirror of time. Maybe a son, if things had gone differently. The boy's hand is open, palm up. Dieter does not move. He waits. He watches. The wind lifts dust around the grave. A crow hops between stones. Still, the boy doesn't breathe. But Dieter does not believe he's dead. Not yet. He's seen death too many times. It has weight. Smell. A kind of quiet that screams. This boy carries only stillness. And something else. Something like defiance. The other workers call to him. Shout that there are more bodies coming. That they must hurry. That night falls early. He ignores them. Stares. Finally kneels. Places 2 fingers on the boy's neck. Faint. But there, a pulse. He wraps him in his coat. Lifts him. Walks away from the pit. Does not speak. Behind him, the spade remains stuck in earth. And for the first time in months, he does not finish the hole. A village near Montpellier, early spring of 1353. Smoke rises from 2 chimneys. The first in months. Bread bakes in one. In the other, soap, boiled from ash and lard. A girl named Leonie, 19, leans from a window, fingers dusted with flour. She does not smile. But she is not afraid. She counts the crows on the fence. 4. Same as yesterday. She has kept count for weeks. Her father returns from the field, cloak stained with soil. He carries turnips and silence. Places them by the door. They nod to each other. It is more than most do now. Across the lane, a boy chops wood. Behind him, a woman hangs linen. White. Not black. Not gray. The first white she has seen in seasons. Children chase a stick near the well. They do not laugh. But they run. And that is something. The church bell rings once at dusk. Not for a funeral. For the hour. A sound forgotten. That night, Leonie places 4 plates on the table, though only 3 are needed. She does not explain. They eat slowly. No one speaks of the sickness. No one says, safe. No one says, finished. They chew. Swallow. Pour broth. Chew again. When the fire fades, she opens the shutter. The stars are back. No screams. No hooves. No carts. Just the rustle of animals. And the faint sound of someone, somewhere, singing. Not a hymn. Just a voice. Human. And for the first time in a long while, Leonie lets herself close her eyes. Without fear of not waking.